Welcome to Inside the Firm, a podcast dedicated to small business owners and hosted by entrepreneurs, Alex Gore and Lance Cayko. Each week, they take you on their journey of how to start, run, and grow a business by bringing you inside their architecture and real estate development firm. Get a behind-the-scenes tour of how these business leaders manage their clients and foster company culture while creating new and innovative projects. And now your hosts, Alex Gore and Lance Cayko.
Here we go, Lance.
Here we are. It's Friday. We survived. Again, another work week.
Yeah.
Living the dream.
We are living the dream, and I'm loving it. I want to give a shout out to some people who left us reviews. We went up. Were we at 20 last time?
Yes, because our good friend Devin Tilley left the 20th.
Now we're at 27.
In only 1 week?
In 1 week. So thanks to all of you. I'm going to read some of them. But please email me so I can send you either a PDF or a book or a signed book. So if you did it, email me at akg@f9productions.com and we'll get that to you. Number 25 was from M. Rainville. I don't know what that is. Thank you for giving insight into how you run a firm. I've worked at small and large firms, recently obtained licensures, and I've started to develop a plan to start my own firm. Awesome. Your notes and thoughts are great help for me hurting the cats of my brain.
That's fantastic.
That is so true. Thanks again. Look forward to it. Another person came across us in the A.R.E. Facebook group. Another recent graduate he said he got this at a perfect time. Couldn't have stumbled on it at a better time. Currently in the thesis year. Going to jump into the real world. Welcome to the swamp there. That's joseph.ech. So thank you, everyone. Thanks for leaving a review. Again, I'm going to extend the same thing, and we're going to extend it to 30. So if you're the 30, no, we're already at 27. We need to go higher than that then. Who cares? Free book
30,
at 30.
come on.
And then anyone in between, you'll get a PDF version. So if you're at 30, you get a physical copy, signed, sent to you free of charge. And then if you're in between that, we'll give you a PDF copy. So please jump on there. It's going faster than you think. So
we really appreciate it. Seriously, you guys are the best. The only way this podcast grows, and if it's a value to you, is if you leave us a review and share it with your friends, share it with your colleagues, even if they're not architects. I just know that there is some good business advice here, some good life advice that can help other people out. So again, thank you for all the reviews. It's been awesome. It's been honestly overwhelming. Like 7 for us to grow that much that quickly is phenomenal.
Well, I think it's thanks to these people, because we've even heard offices have an inner chat, a chat, a message board, something like that. And we know people are putting it up in their chat. Hey, go and check these out. I found it. It's very cool. Maybe give us a synopsis. So if that's you, thank you. If you have something like that in your office, and if you think it would be helpful, if you think it'd be useful for people, go ahead and put it on there. If you're in school, if you're in part of the AIAS, you can send it out. You can just send a link to SoundCloud or iTunes or whatever to your group, to your students, and just say, hey, check these guys out. Hopefully we're talking about real issues that of architecture, and that's what we're trying to do. Give you an inside look.
All right, what's next, Al? What do you got? I see something on the list.
Yeah. So we went to a fundraiser.
Yep.
And what did you think of it?
We went to a political fundraiser, and we got to meet a congressman in person, and that was amazing.
Yes.
It was like, oh my gosh, you're one of the 435. This is cool, and we got to actually ask him real questions. So I obviously. If you get elected, you have to in that kind of a public office, you have to be likable. You have to be a good glad-hander. So that was an obvious one that I think we were expecting. But the fact that we were able to actually go up and talk with him afterwards, engage with him, and he just flat out told us honest answers was kind of life-changing.
The fact also that he wasn't stereotypical. So if you go to a fundraiser for a left person and a right person, you think that they're going to fit these boxes. And people were asking questions in a whole group. Well, it wasn't that big of a group.
Yeah, it was big enough.
Sure. Okay. It's just, this isn't like a public, this is at a house.
It was at a house. How about that?
Yeah,
there's the context. It was at a private residence.
Yep. Yep. Anyways, you would expect that they would stick to the party line. And he wouldn't. He'd give the real honest answers, and someone would bring up an issue. And this is a problem with politicians, not with politics, is everyone has their issues and they want to hear you speak to that issue. But he said that's such a one of them. That's such a small issue. It doesn't even matter. And the lady was even shocked. And I was like, oh my, he's telling the truth. He's telling the truth.
No, exactly. He was telling hard truths, hard reality truths. And I but he's only one of out of the 435 congressmen that I met, but I don't know, man. It felt pretty honest. I mean, they all say these things, but that's what I took away from it was like, oh, good. You kind of told me at the end of what the question that you asked him.
I'll share it too.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because during his, he talked in front of the 20, 30 people, whatever. And he said, people need to grow a spine. Budget is a big issue. And I was like, yeah, that's what all politicians say.
Yep.
So you were talking to him first, and then I came in and said, hey, I'm his business partner. You started talking. Al Gore.
Every time I can't tell you guys how much we use that as an icebreaker.
Yeah, so change your name.
Either Lance Cayko, and then I go, seriously? Then it's an icebreaker for me. Or Al Gore.
Yep.
It's been incredibly valuable.
Yep. So I said, other than, that phrase, have a spine, is there any is there any strategic way that you can see in the foreseeable future they're going to bring down the debt and actually have a balanced budget? And this is what I love about it, and I think the answer is very interesting to everyone that's listening. He said, no, the only thing that's going to make a balanced budget is a catastrophe. He goes, because politicians are never going to get elected saying that they're going to cut something. And I was like, it's so freeing, because I'm sitting here cursing in my car, yelling, giving myself a heart attack. Why? Stop voting for these stupid bills that increase, by 2 billion%. Why don't they all have a spine? And that's what he said, have a spine. They're not people. They're not going to do it. And the other logic is people think, there's no consequences to having a bigger and bigger deficit. But if you read into what he said, it will change once there's some sort of catastrophe, whether it's a war, whether it's China stop buying bonds, whether it could be all these recession. It could be the Fed's raising rates.
Bitcoin just takes over.
Awesome. And what you should know about that is now come to the realization these politicians are not going to help you. They're not going to help you.
So who's going to help you, Al?
I think you are.
Exactly.
Well, not you.
No, exactly.
Like the internal you.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's one thing we try to get across on every episode at least one time is personal responsibility, self-ownership, and being responsible for yourself, especially as a business owner and being fiscally responsible. So I believe what that gentleman had to say, and because there was just no hesitation about it with what he said. That was what was amazing about it. There's no stammering or anything. He just flat out already had the answer to it, and I did not expect, because it's real.
Yeah, because what he could have said is he could have said something like, well, we need a coalition of Democrats or Republicans, and how we're going to do that is you need to come out and vote, and you need to be engaged. Like, I'd be like, gross, I have a job.
Or he could have, since it was a fundraiser, he could have said, well, you can start off by helping out here and donating, blah blah blah. But nope. He just flat out said so,
and he said, "You're not going to like it, but this is the truth, and I'm going to tell you."
Yeah. So, I would encourage everybody. I don't care where you're at politically, but because I think it just helps you understand kind of steering everything back to yourself. If you go out and try to just be a part of one of these fundraisers, one of these meet and greets, go talk to them, go meet the real people, because you'll get real answers, and it will just put it in perspective. And for me, it did exactly what you said too. It kind of calmed me down. I'm just like, well, yeah, there's just got to get my own house in order.
Yep.
Like, it starts with me.
Well, also these positions that you see on TV, on everything from the border to it doesn't even matter. Those are the extreme positions.
Yes.
And I think what you'll find is you'll go to him and be like, oh, so you actually are reasonable and you don't think that? And if you could just talk to that guy.
Go to the source. Go to the source. You can do it. You can access it.
And that doesn't mean that it doesn't get confused by, what our president says, and let's just be honest, the craziness that's coming from there. But man, it's not what you think. I still don't have faith in them, because he knows that it's not going to happen, and he's still not going to vote for a balanced budget. So
again, that's why it was so shocking. It's like, oh wow, this is real. This is real. Yeah.
Wow.
In other news, I got stood up this week.
Really? You have a wife? I don't think she should stand you up.
It wasn't my wife. I got stood up by a client, a potential client. So I can't remember. I think it was Monday. Yeah, on Monday I had earlier this week. I had a meeting scheduled down in Denver. I was going to go meet this potential client. It was like we're going to kind of redo a carriage house or something in the back. Doesn't matter. I get to the job site and the front gate is locked. So I go, it was a weird house too because everything was set so far back to the rear. It's like the house was out also in the alley, like on the alley side. So I walk around to the alley, nothing. Walk around to the house again, walk around. And I give it 15 minutes. My appointment is at 1 p.m. I gave it to 1:15. And then I said, wow, that's enough. I guess I'm heading back home. And, I emailed him. I even called the gal. And so why I'm bringing that up is because then it prompted me to post in the Entre Architect community and kind of go on a little just a question and a rant. Because I know this is a hot topic of, do you charge for a first meeting? Do you not charge for a first meeting? What is a first meeting? So we've had this beautiful discussion going on multiple threads about first meetings. And there's been a couple people posted, like I posted first, and then it prompted somebody else to post, and then somebody else to post. But it has been like comments after comments after comments, and everybody's unique, everybody's different. Some people are really heavy on, nope, you got to make either $250 or whatever the chart, right away you just tell them that my time is worth this, whether they're coming into your office, whether you're going down there, doesn't matter. You should be charging for your time because then it weeds out the tire kickers, right? Weeds them out. And then you and I started talking about it, right?
Yep.
And the first thing, and we're contrarians. Let's call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
We always like to play like devil's advocate even with each other. Even if like we know we're probably going to agree at the end, we'll just test each other and see, right?
Yeah.
So
because you want to be able to flesh out an idea, and you want to know
want to shoot holes in things.
You want to know the other's argument as well or better as whoever your opponent. And I wouldn't say opponent, but you just need to know both sides of the coin.
Yep. So I'm bringing this up to Alex as we're driving to work. Driving to go teach, and Alex goes, you said something like this. Correct me if I'm wrong, but like, well, when have we ever got charged for a lawyer right off the bat, or an attorney, and we haven't. Like we've hired, like within the first year that we started, first couple months, we had to hire an attorney to do stuff for us, write a letter or whatever. That meeting didn't charge us anything.
And what was our conclusion? If they would have said we're going to charge you, the conclusion was, this guy's probably going to nickel and dime us for everything. We're not going with him.
Exactly, because you're sort of setting up the expectations.
Yep. And then, what's so funny is that, the opposite perspective. And there's a lot of perspectives, but, they would have weeded you out because you're a low-paying person, Well, we happen to have a lawyer who is now, we have multiple lawyers, but one... Anyways, we gave money to this lawyer. It relates back to this political talk that we were talking about. So it was a good idea for that lawyer to give us a free first meeting.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and actually we even had another meeting regarding our development. Just nobody expected any kind of charge for that. It was mostly just kind of business person to business person, big picture, how would you approach going forward, trying to do what you're trying to do type of thing, right? There was no charge for that. So it seems like there's two consensus. I don't know. One, charge right up front. And I totally buy the logic. I get the logic. Maybe one guy posted and he said he was just so he started this company and he got in such high demand that he had to start like weeding people out because he was just getting overwhelmed with phone calls. And it kind of reminded me of the tiny house. And we haven't been overwhelmed with inquiries, but we've gotten enough inquiries over the past couple of years since we built the first tiny house and we're on television and all that, and noticed that there's some crazy people out there that just have crazy ideas, and it's like, that's a waste of time. Yeah. So I
tell them the price. I get, Lance, almost these last 2 weeks I've gotten about one a day. I tell them the price right away. Weeds them right out.
Well, there you go.
Get right out of here. Hey, this is going to cost you this amount.
Really? One a day?
It's been crazy.
Wow.
I think our show's been going on. Our numbers on our website are huge, both F9 and the tiny houses. All these listeners are just sharing,
blowing up F9. Yeah. So I get that logic. I understand your time is valuable. I understand it's limited here on the earth. All of these things, right?
Yep.
And I also understand that a lot of architects, what is like a third of them are sole practitioners. You can't afford to give up your time. In the
No.
very least.
No, I was going to point out maybe that guy should expand, but then maybe quality goes down. So, and maybe you just want to be a sole proprietor.
Yeah, some people I talked to, they expanded past our goal number, which is 12 people,
Yep.
and they went to 15. And they were like, while the money was great and all of that, at the end of the day, I was such a paper pusher. It was like eating away my soul, and they needed to get back to architecture, so they ramped down after the recession to like 3 or 4 people. I get it. I understand that. I understand everybody's this perspective of time is money, right?
Yep. Also, if you're going to email me about the tiny house price, I'll tell you so you don't have to email me and bother me. The ones from Tumbleweed cost about $75,000, and those are the wood ones, the ones that look like cabins.
Yep.
The one that ours is all glass, folding deck, folding awning, solar panels, all that are $90K plus.
So that's sort of that perspective, and I got that, and I started asking some of the people too, like, well, I mean, how big is your firm? And that kind of led me, I'm trying to narrow or at least put people in
the same boat.
What's that?
In the same boat as us, so you can get perspective. Is that?
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, I'm just trying to understand, like, well, because there's maybe, I don't know, there's no number to it, but let's say half of the other people are like us, where we're saying, nope, first meeting is gratis. So then we started asking Alex, I was asking Alex in the same drive, like, well, why is it important that we do a gratis meeting? And then we started talking about, well, because we're volume based, and what we mean by that is we're never the highest charging architect, we're never the lowest charging architect. We're kind of right in the middle.
Yep.
And then therefore our idea is we're going to capture as many projects as we can. We're both still young, relatively speaking, to the point where like we're okay with not killing ourselves, but we're workaholics. Yeah. I like to think that we have integrated lives. Like you went to last Friday, hanging out with Alice because you
Hanging out.
Wife was out and about,
High-fiving
stuff like that. So, but so there's these two sides, right? You got to charge, you got to not charge, because if you're not charging, then you're setting up the expectation that your time is worthless, and that it's not worth anything, and that you're going to be there for cheap, and then you've wasted a half of a day.
And that's one perspective, but when I go to a free meeting with a lawyer, I don't think their time is worthless. It just depends on that person. I could see that point, but I could see the opposite point that doesn't have any correlation. The other thing that you brought up is weeding out, and I do think you need to weed people out. And how we've been doing it, maybe you have some more questions, but when you're in the phone call or having a meeting, these two questions help weed out how serious someone is. Do you have land? What is your budget? Do you have a construction budget? Because if they say no to land, but they say, hey, we're getting it, okay, then you might meet with them. And if you ask what's your construction budget, and if they say their program is 2,500 square foot and their construction budget for just construction is 100,000, you'd be like, well, you are kidding yourself. You are kidding yourself. Yep.
Yeah. And I can't remember what
Pre-weeding.
I cannot remember what episode it is in particular, but if you scroll through, if you go to SoundCloud or iTunes or whatever, and you look at it was maybe like a mid-20s episode or something of Inside the Firm. It's the 3 V's of internet marketing, and the first V I think is vetting, and it kind of goes in more depth about Alex is talking about, specifically to internet marketing, because that's one of our platforms that we launch off of and try to get new clients. Anyway, so there's these two sides, right? Where I concluded at was there's two kinds of meetings.
Sorry, I looked it up. It's number 20.
Okay, perfect.
Number
good,
20
good.
people.
It's number 20. Go check out. What is it? Is it the 3 V's of internet?
3 V's of internet marketing.
Wonderful. That it expands a lot more on what Alex just went over. Yeah. So what my conclusion is today, there's actually two kinds of meetings, and this is all in discussion. Everybody kind of laid it out, which is awesome. There's two kinds of meetings. One meeting where a lot of architects who were charging for them, it seems like they would go there. They were kind of doing like what you were doing for Angie's List. They write notes down. They do a quick zoning analysis. They actually do a sketch, and then they write a proposal. And so they're actually going in and telling people things, suggestions, giving advice. Like, yes, you're putting your value on display. So you should, technically you should charge for that.
You are providing something tangible other than just the meeting.
Yep.
Okay.
Then there was my approach, and I think your approach too generally, if it's a gratis meeting, and that is you go glad hand, try to make a personal connection, and sort of be a counselor in that I want to just tell me what you're thinking. What are your concerns? What are your comments? What are your goals for this addition to your house or this new building or this new business? What do you want to get accomplished? And then, asking them all the typical questions beyond that about then you start talking about budget, budget, expectations for how long we can get a building permit and all this kind of stuff. Really try to feel them out broadly. And then the table usually turns in that meeting, or I say, okay, do you have any questions for me? And then they ask, yes, well, what goes on from here? And for me, it's about a 5-minute pitch after that. And in this case, now it's me bringing the new proposal graphically and showing them, just walking them through. Here's what you can expect from me within 24 hours. And we're done. My meetings for those land between 15 minutes and 60 minutes. I think that's a much different scenario. But my final, funneling everything to one thing here is we should be vetting. I'm going to try it at least. Can I get a 5-minute phone call with you? What of those two meetings are you looking for? Because I have a meeting on Monday on Wednesday of this week, I experimented again. I got an inquiry, and the lady called me, and she wants to do this commercial project down in Denver. And we talked and chatted about it for about 5 minutes, and then I said, okay. And she wants to move so fast, and she wants to figure out construction budget before, so she can possibly get out of this potential purchase on this property. And I go, oh, well, it sounds like you're looking for more of a consultation.
Yeah.
With a written
analysis.
Letter, an analysis. And she goes, yes. And I go, okay, for that meeting, I kind of arrived here organically plus deliberately. So I said, oh, for that meeting, that's going to be $250 or whatever I said. But if you sign the contract after I give you a proposal, we'll roll that back into there.
Roll it right into there.
So to me, this is my conclusion: is it's a vetting about what kind of meeting you're going into, I still think it's okay to do a gratis versus a consultation meeting, and maybe because you explain the two different kinds of meetings, you can talk them into not doing the gratis one.
Well,
because then it's the first time you can just put their feet in the water.
Let me play that back to you,
yes.
and then correct me. So, you get an email, get a voicemail, or you're talking to them, and somehow you in the first two scenarios if it's an email or voicemail, you ask to talk to them. Say, hey, quick 5 minutes, blah blah blah.
I did it this morning. Got an inquiry this morning. First thing I asked. Yep.
And then you say, hey, my name is Lance Cayko. Ha 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 ha.
Is that really what
Isn't that so funny? My business partner's Algo.
See, and there's your joke. You start breaking that ice.
Yep. And then I just wanted to call and talk to you to better serve you and ask you which type of meeting you want. There's two types of meetings that we do. One is just gratis. We come down and we talk about your project. I get to know what you want, where your land is, what budget you have. And then I take that information and I write up a proposal to see if you want to go with us, where I'll lay out the steps and the costs and all that stuff. So that's one kind of meeting. And the second kind of meeting is that you need some help, some analysis, or sort of some direction.
Direction, I think, is the key word here.
Yep. So I come down and we talk basically about the first step, but we do an extra step. And that's where we start research, either setbacks, zoning, costs, something like that. And it's a cost meeting. And then we'll produce a report for you that answers those questions.
Exactly.
That's the sales pitch.
That's exactly the sales pitch. Yep.
Look at that. Cut that out. Cut that out of the podcast.
Nope. We just trying to enable all of our competitors.
Yeah. And we don't want to cut.
So things. Yeah, I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it. That's going to be my approach from now on. So this is, I'm happy to evolve, but I just gotta, I don't think there's a hard and fast you got to charge every single time. Now, maybe there is if you're a sole proprietor. We have a staff an amazing staff behind us that allows us to literally do stuff like this. We're not getting paid to do, right? This podcast right here.
Send us your money.
Send us all. We take Bitcoins too.
Yeah. I cut you off though.
That was it. I'm going to try it. and see how it goes.
I like it.
And give people and I'm happy to keep everybody updated on it. But that was my one big business lesson from this week.
Yep.
That's what I got.
Very nice. I like it. Now we're on to one of our favorite segments. Our bestie, Nick, is here with Nick Reads.
Hello, best friends. I hope you all had a great week this week. I trust you boys had a bit of fun last Monday. A reading. Sleep on it. The solution is simple. When you're faced with a complex issue or presented with a challenging request from a client, before you race into any decision, mull it over. This is especially important when a client presents a particularly challenging request. Never say no immediately. You want to keep your client happy, but you also need to be able to deliver a project in a profitable, yet timely way. Ask clients for a day to think about it, and tell them you'll get back to them. This gives you time to consider alternative possibilities to achieve the desired outcome, whether they are a client, an employee, a friend, or a best friend. Be certain to respond back. Once again, Art Gensler and his 50 principles. Al, Lance, my wife had a besties weekend not long ago. The beach, the booze, the extravagant dinners. Seemed like a lot of fun. Toodles!
I wonder what he's getting at.
Do you think he's implying something? I think he's so successful, though. I think he wants to fly us out.
That's what I was thinking. How did you read my mind?
I don't know.
I was
Just
thinking.
a hunch.
I was thinking instead of Nick sending Bitcoin to us, he could just send us tickets.
Yeah, I like that.
We accept tickets too.
Yeah. I like that reading. What I like about it is the first line, the solution is simple. So everyone is progressing in the knowledge that they know. And the more knowledge I know, the more I find out that fundamental, simple solutions are the answer.
Every time.
Every time. And I'll give two examples, and I don't want to harp on this one because it's kind of touchy. So there was a shooting yesterday, right? And then today, during this podcast, I have little pop-ups. I'm trying to not have pop-ups, but somehow the internet gives me pop-ups.
You're Al Gore.
Yeah, exactly.
You invented it.
FBI did not follow up. So apparently there was a report, right? So following up is a fundamental thing, but yet with the solutions from Congress, whatever, more money, more this, more gun, and I'm not trying to say more guns, less guns, whatever. That doesn't matter. In this scenario right now, just that they didn't follow up is huge, and that relates to architecture. It relates to capturing criminals, preventing criminals, to absolutely everything. And then I'll give a work example. So one of my guys were asking me questions about a wall. What details should we do? And we are looking at these details, and I go, just back up. I go to a 3D view. I go, spin around. Because I need to get perspective, because that's another simple solution. Step back and get some perspective, right? And the answer was, what you're asking me to draw or not, he was going to draw two different things. The second one doesn't exist. Case doesn't exist. We don't even need to draw it. Because there might be two different ways we could connect the floor box, right? Depending on how long the walls were. And I was immediately going to say, like, oh yeah, show both. Why not? Take another hour. But I said, no, let's back up. We don't even have that condition. Don't need to draw it. There's your answer. It wasn't a brilliant answer. It was a simple answer, but it's needed.
Yeah. Well, you and I had a discussion yesterday, late in the afternoon. I called you, and I was working on the development project.
Yeah.
And I was like, this seems really complicated to do the roof in the first way that we talked about.
Yeah.
And then
You're saying it much nicer than you said last night.
A lot less F words.
Yeah.
Maybe S word, all the words.
Yeah.
And then you were like, and then I said, and then I pointed back to, okay,
What did we do?
What did we do?
Yeah.
What did we do?
And then I had to think about it.
And you had to think about it on a different project. And then we have followed up and looked at that project and went in detail, and it's like, oh, that's a fundamentally more simple solution. I think however you can get to that point, and it might be you sleeping on it. So to like sum this, to close this little loop back up, is for me, a lot of times those solutions, those really simple, clear solutions will come. I'll either walk away from my desk or just be done working for the day. You know, you just like exhaust yourself to a certain point, and then your mind frees up, and the solution just sort of it's already planted in your subconscious.
Totally agree. Or talk to someone. Say, come look at this. Come look at that. And why this works too is sometimes I'll even do it in my head, and this is what we tell students, is once you tell the person sitting next to you to come look at this, and then you start to explain it, you start to get clear, you will probably solve your own problem.
Exactly.
Like, what about I guess I'll do that. Okay, go away. or they will just have a different perspective or look at it, and then you can pause, think about it, and hopefully it works out.
Good to go. Well, last thing here, before we jump into A.R.E. Jeopardy.
So fun.
It's the best.
Then we have some nice community shout outs at the end too.
Yeah. If we were to have a besties weekend, what would be your food of choice? Are you seafood guy?
No.
Would we do this in Florida? Would we have to do it in Denver?
Do they have tacos in Florida? Do they have nachos in Florida? Do they have guac?
All I know is
because if they don't have guac, I'm not going to that.
For
state.
every 3 people in Florida, there's one Waffle House. That's what I know about Florida.
See, now I'm questioning. If he sends me tickets and there's no guac in that state, I think I have to refuse on principle.
Yep. All right, something to ponder.
Okay. Next segment is A.R.E. Jeopardy. Are you ready to rumble, Lance?
Yes.
Everyone else? First, a shout out to Evan Troxel. If you haven't gotten his book, A.R.E. Hacks, it's a great place to start. You can find it on Amazon.com. It's A.R.E. Hacks. Learn how to pass the architecture registration exam. Because I think first is setting up the time and getting your mind right is the fundamental perspective shifting solution to this. But right now we're going to go into A.R.E. hacks. We're going to go into A.R.E. Jeopardy questions. And I'll ask the first two. Okay, first one. To reduce noise from a highway adjacent to your site, where should you place the wall? A, as close to the highway as possible. B, as close to your building to shield the noise as possible. C, halfway between the highway and the building. D, use concrete instead of wood.
What an A.R.E. question. Good Lord.
You like that?
My ulcers are coming back.
You want me to clarify, reread the question, reread the answers, or are you guys good? To reduce noise from a highway adjacent, so just right up to your site. Your property goes up to the highway. Where should you place a wall? Okay, A, as close to the highway as possible. B, as close to your building as possible. C, in between, halfway. D, use concrete instead of wood.
It's concrete instead of wood.
Awesome. All right, you guys ready? A, B. The answer is A. So you want it as close to the source of noise as possible. I was hoping to throw you guys off with D, because use concrete instead of wood. Yes, concrete is better than wood, but the question is where to place it. A little trickster.
You're a fox.
Okay. Question number 2. What material has the highest compressive strength? A, brick masonry. B, wood. C, concrete. D, steel. Compressive strength. Is it brick? Is it wood? Is it concrete? Is it steel?
I like how terse your questions are and how mine are lengthy.
Huh.
It's just what a reflection of each other.
Huh. Just straight
Somebody's wordy, somebody's not.
Yeah.
Somebody wrote a book, somebody didn't.
Exactly. Okay, you guys ready? C, A. The answer is D. None of you. Steel has more compressive strength than concrete. Look at that. All right.
There you go. Nobody got that.
No one. I'm
Wow.
not marking any points.
What a tricky A.R.E. question.
Yeah.
Okay, now this,
But I remember this because everyone talks about concrete having good compression strength and not good tension strength. It has good. It doesn't have excellent like steel.
yeah. All right. Question number 3. You have designed an addition to an existing home, and upon demolition, it has been discovered that the house is supported by drilled piers and not spread footings, as you previously assumed. The new foundation must now be revised to be supported on drilled piers. Who is responsible for the additional construction costs of the piers? A, the contractor, B, the architect, C, the structural engineer, D, the owner. Oh, looks like everybody has an answer for that one. Okay. What do we got? Let's start with the left. D, correct.
Bam.
It is the owner's building. That is the owner's building. And fun fact, that just happened to us a couple weeks ago.
Well, look at that.
The owner was not happy, but we were like, well, I don't know. Architects aren't gonna dig, right? We're not supposed to do construction stuff. Okay. So what do we have? Do we have just a right two-way tie? Two-way tie.
Could be three-way.
Could be three-way. We just need someone to get one right?
Yeah.
Okay. This is a layup, in my opinion. Ready? Number 4. What is the minimum head height between the bottom of a beam and the top of a floor in a residential basement? A, 6 foot 4 inches. B, 6 foot 8 inches. C, 7 feet. D, 8 feet.
I think it's kind of tricky because there's two different rules at play here.
There are two rules. Absolutely. It is kind of tricky.
Yeah.
Because when you go through the code book and you read this, you and I have actually talked about this before in the podcast. When you go through the code book and you read this, it's kind of shocking.
Yep.
That's your hint. Does everybody have an answer?
Yeah, so
or do you
not
need
a
to read it
layup.
one more time? Okay, what do we got? B, and A. A is correct. That's not.
Wait,
okay.
I gotta ask. Was that a shot in the dark, Mr. Correct, or did it recently
Gresh
happen?
looked up the code earlier this week.
Oh, you can't. That's a biased question.
Okay, that's why I have a bonus.
This is a rig.
That's why I have a bonus. We can't rig the primaries.
Okay.
We're not
I'm
rigging.
erasing that. That's a race. And here's the
It was
the
a
tricky
troll
things.
question. Gresh looked at me
Okay.
and immediately, right, like first 3 words. Gresh was like looking at me.
Habitable space is 7 foot. Clearance for head height is normally 6 foot 8, but then there's the allowance for a beam in the basement 6 foot 4.
Yeah, like a drop beam. Yep. Pretty crazy, right? You wouldn't think of that. That's a good one to remember, honestly, because it might come up. We don't know. Okay, this is the bonus, but this is a fun one. Okay.
Well, no, this is I erased that one. We got a tie, possibly a
This is collusion.
between you two, and I called it out.
Us two.
Yeah.
Okay. Ready. On a leisurely Sunday drive, you happen to pass by an existing home that you're currently designing an addition to, and you notice that the footings have been poured without a building permit. Who should be contacted first? A, the building department. B, the client. C, the contractor. D, the structural engineer. Or E, all of the above at the exact same time in one big conference call. I'll repeat the question. On a leisurely Sunday drive, you happen to pass by an existing home that you are currently designing an addition to, and you notice that the footings have been poured without a building permit. Who should be contacted first? A, the building department. B, the client. C, the contractor. D, the structural engineer. E, all of the above at the exact same time in one giant conference call. This is what we do on Sundays, right? Just drive by buildings, look at them.
It's like, oh, that's so nice.
All right, looks like we have answers. We'll start on the left here. B, E, B. The correct answer is B.
Who got it? I wasn't paying attention. Oh, those two. Okay, so
Now do we? No, we don't have a
nope.
tie.
We have the same winner.
Yep.
Congratulations,
King Gresh, just over here destroying
There
it.
we go.
Watch him take the A.R.E. test and then he fails and everybody else passes.
I know, right?
And that's how it works. Yeah. That's how it works. That's your lesson.
Okay, thanks, guys.
So we want to give a quick shout out over to our friend Mark LePage over at the Entree Architect podcast. And as he always says, if we build better businesses, we will build better architects. So if you aren't already a listener, I'm sure a lot of you are, please go check him out. He also actually has what I really like is other business owners or consultants on. It's not just architecture. I think there's a lot to be learned. There's even some marketing people that he has on that have really interesting ideas. So go check him out. And then Mark and his team at A.R.E Architect will show you how to build a better business. You can even download their free online course, Profit for Small Term Architects, at entrearchitect.com/free course.
So guess what our friend Eric Reinholdt is doing?
What's he doing? Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff.
Guess what he did? Guess what he did?
3D printing?
Nope. He made another video.
Oh, fantastic.
Guess what else he did?
What else did he do?
He crushed it. I'm serious. He absolutely crushed it.
What's this one about?
This one is what to do after architecture schools. Advice for graduates. And know what? It's not just for graduates. It's for everyone. The first intro is good. It's only like 3 minutes, so very digestible. At like 2-minute mark, he just crushes it with a list. I recommend anyone who is thinking about, hey, maybe I'm going to transition, maybe I'm thinking about architecture, what I want to do, or graduate. He lays out like 10 pieces of advice that you should just write down, print out, and put in front of your face. Like, well, here's one. The work you do is the work you'll get. So think about that in school. If you are producing like crappy work, right, or just kind of getting by, what do you think is going to happen in the future? What if you have these dreams, these delusions that you're going to be some master
of grandeur?
Yeah, of some master architecture, and you're just barely putting stuff in, but you know you have talent or skill. Well, guess what those other kids who have talent and skill do? They're doing the good work now, and they're going to build on that. They're not going to stop. So what you do now is going to manifest itself in the future. So he has plenty of videos. He covers a range of topics. Join the 112,000 subscribers that he has by going to YouTube, finding 30 by 40 Design Workshop, Eric Reinholdt. You'll find it. Subscribe to him.
And as always, if you liked the podcast today, if you feel like it's done you some good, if you've learned a few things, if you've had a few laughs, please follow us on the Twitter, follow us on Facebook, join our private Inside the Firm Facebook group where you can ask us questions. We're always there. I'm on it more than Al, but we're still both here to listen, to hear from you. See what you have to say. Maybe you've got an inside question to Inside the Firm, and we'll help you out. Please share this podcast with somebody else in your firm. If you are listening, if it's a small firm, medium-sized firm, big firm, whatever. The only way we grow and the only way we continue to keep doing this is if we keep growing, and there's some incentive to do it. So we really appreciate that.
Spam your office. That's what you're saying, right?
Spam your office 100%.
Spam your friends.
Yep. And with that, we'll see you next week.